After the last 3 points in the last 9 possessions against Notre Dame, and then having the game that you guys are playing this week, how important was it versus Western to use that opportunity to get your mojo back offensively, to get all the rhythm stuff back in place?
Well, we talked about it with the players, and you grade out yourself by quarter. At least I do. We grade ourselves out by quarter going through the entire season. We looked at 2 quarters in the Syracuse game that took us a while to get going. Of course, that was the beginning of the season. And then we waited 3 weeks. I thought that we had a couple quarters in the BC game that weren't as efficient as we wanted them to be. And then we went a long time with a lot of good football offensively. And I think the 2 quarters that you're referring to, the most recent, the second half, third and fourth quarter at Notre Dame, were probably the first ones where we were obviously not as efficient as we need to be to go win a game. And I think so the 4 quarters at the first 2 quarters at Western were important just to get back into a rhythm, and get back into the flow of things, get back into some tempo. And, Notre Dame did a great job of just disrupting our rhythm and playing good physical football. So last week was good in a lot of ways because we got back into a rhythm, and then we got some backups that hadn't been playing as much on the field. We got a lot of real offensive reps with those guys, got all 4 quarterbacks on the field, got all the RBs, got everybody. I think we got everybody on the offensive roster on the field. And so it gave us an opportunity, 1, to get into a rhythm like you're asking, and 2, to evaluate some of our future stars here for North Carolina.
When you look at the film against an opponent that you overmatch like Western, does it change what you evaluate, what you look at most, or kind of take me through maybe the 2 or 3 most important things you evaluate when you look at a film like from Saturday?
I think not so much about Western. I think anytime that you play somebody that you may be more talented than, you really expect perfection. I mean, you expect to be able to finish your blocks. You expect to be able to get open on your routes. You expect to be able to protect well. You expect to be able to finish things at the second level and create some explosive runs. I mean, you just expect a higher level of overall execution. You don't expect missed assignments, and you don't expect to get beaten physically as often because, maybe there's a larger disparity between the talent that you're playing and the talent that you have. And that was our expectation. We wanted to play a really, really clean first half in all facets of the game, and we did. Western came and played hard, and they played downhill, and they tackled well early on. I thought they did a good job early on, and you just want our guys to execute like they're supposed to. If you're supposed to win by 40, then win by 40. Don't win by 10. If you're supposed to win by 10, then you win by 10. So that's we just wanted to execute, Andrew, the way we're supposed to, and the result is whatever it should be.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, let's go over to Greg Barnes.
Good morning, Phil. One thing we talked about quite a bit last year was red zone efficiency, and your offense currently is top 10 in the country in red zone touchdown percentage. What has changed, if anything, and what do you attribute that success to?
I credit our staff and our players for the improvement. We went into the offseason wanting to do a number of things offensively. Obviously, the pandemic and the spring and summer schedule changed a lot of that, but it didn't change the priorities. We wanted to be better in red zone touchdown percentage. The scoring percentage last year was good, but the touchdown scoring percentage wasn't where we would like it. It's a lot better this year. I think it's a credit to our players. We're getting greater execution. That comes with having veterans. We're doing a few things different down there in the red zone that are helping us. We're doing a better job up front running the football down there. That's helping us. So I think between the staff and the players having a better plan and those guys executing has been really the big reason why we are better in the red zone in comparison to last season. And I think it's really the same thing with regards to third down. We're getting the ball out a little faster. We're doing some things outside of just dropping back on third down. We're staying out of third down. The number one way to be a good third and long team is to stay out of it. We have a lesser amount of third downs at this point in the season than we did last year. And it's because of our efficiency on first and second down. So I commend our players and our staff for putting the plan together. And those guys have just done a better job executing. And I really would attribute it primarily to having veterans that have been there now as opposed to where we were last year.
Great. Thank you.
All right, let's go over to Gregory Hall.
Hey, Phil. I was just curious what you've seen out of Miami's defense that's allowed them to be so successful. They're leading the ACC in yards allowed per pass attempt right now.
So speed is the first thing that comes to mind. You know, they track the ball very, very well. They pursue very, very well. I would challenge you to find a reverse that get outside of one of those DNs this year. You know, they are vertical in nature on the D-line. They are going to disrupt and penetrate and, you know, create seams and creases in the offensive box. It's tough to pull on them because they're coming off the football and they're getting in the way. They're in track stances. They're pinning their ears back and they're going to come up the field. And that's been their nature defensively up front. Linebackers track well and they make the D lineman right. So if a D lineman's at a gap, the linebackers are able to melt and make some plays. And then they're very good secondary. You know, they do a good job in man coverage. They're good on the outsides. They're going to match up well with our wide receivers. They do a good job of being in position at their safety spots and at nickel. And so it's going to be challenging to, I think, just to say, hey, you know what, we're a major mismatch for them down the field or on the back end, which has been the case in some other games. It's not really where we're standing this week. You know, they have a challenge. Our receivers have a challenge to get open this week. And we obviously, I think we're going to see two of the best DNs this entire season. Maybe in the 2 years I've been here, this is the best combination of defensive ends that we've seen. They're outstanding. 15 and number 2, who we saw at Temple last year.
And then what did you like out of the young guys on offense this past Saturday? One of the few times that you get to see that many guys play on the offensive side of the ball.
You know, I was excited to get him out on the field, you know, to start the second half. You know, Coach Brown alluded to the fact that he's never started a second half without his starters. You know, I think most people do that, and it makes a lot of sense. You want to get a rhythm going. We made the decision to put those guys out there right away and get a full quarter in before we rotated even more backups in. It was just good to see the young guys run the normal offense. You know, you get out ahead midway through the third or early in the fourth, and then you roll the young guys in and you're in 4-minute mode, you know, and you're in tighter sets and heavier sets and you're running the football and you're trying to grind the clock out and not give the ball back. That's a different scenario than the one that our guys had this past week. They were able to, at halftime, be told, hey, you're playing. You're starting the second half. And they came out and we ran the base offense. We threw the throws and the screens and the run game was the full playlist. And that was probably the most exciting part, was to watch those guys go execute and do their thing with the base offense that they learned, you know, in camp.
Thanks, Phil.
All right, let's go to Ross Martin.
Hey, Phil, what has Michael Carter meant to the UNC offense the last 2 years and to this program and to you since you've been at UNC?
Michael is, you know, it's a tough one. Michael is extremely, extremely valuable to this program. And, you know, he brings it every day on the field. He is a shining example on the field of what you want from an effort and a commitment and a preparation standpoint. Not only does he bring great effort on the field, but he's always prepared. He always knows what's going on defensively. The most boring of drills all the way up to, you know, the most exciting team sessions, he's giving you the same effort. It doesn't change. And he's got the same energy off the field. And he's just such a high character guy, such a great person to have in your locker room from a mentality standpoint and a culture standpoint. And, you know, I cannot say enough about that kid. You know, you asked me earlier in the year about DK Metcalf, and I said a lot of the same things. And I would really liken a number of our kids, but particularly Michael, to a guy like that. Just a high character guy is going to give you everything you want on and off the field. He's going to make great decisions, tremendous leadership guy. I hope 20 years from now, Michael and I are talking as much as we do today. I just somebody you'd like to keep in your life.
Great. And kind of following on Gregory's question about the offense and kind of more of the wide receivers have played a lot. You know, Bo Krause was announced he's out for the season. What have you seen and you've liked from Joffrey Brown, Emory Simmons? You know, Antoine Green hasn't played a lot either. So I was wondering your thoughts on him. He got a touchdown against Western Carolina, maybe his role in the future of this offense.
Well, you know, I think it's hard to think of Daz Newsome not on your football team, right? Or De'Ami Brown or Javonte Williams. You know, it's hard to think that we can continue on and be good and be explosive and be prolific without those guys, because they have meant so much to this program over the years and they've made so many plays. But like everything else, I mean, the sport goes on and the offense will have to go on, and it's going to require some of these younger guys like the ones you mentioned, Antoine Green and Joffrey Brown and Emory Simmons, all of whom have shown you flashes of what they're capable of. You know, and so next year we get those guys back a year stronger under Coach Hess and his staff, which is a huge asset here. You know, the development of these, the commitment they make in the offseason, they all come back so much stronger, better change of direction, more explosive. So you get a better version of them. And that's what we'll be expecting next year when we have some of these young guys come in and fill the shoes of some established players who will be leaving. And I think the three you mentioned are they're all primed to have really big years next year, because we fully expect all three of them to be major contributors.
Great. Thank you.
All right. We'll close up with Coach here from CL Brown. Go ahead, CL.
Okay.
All right, Phil, I just wanted to get you to elaborate a little bit, kind of piggybacking off of Ross's question, but specifically with running backs. Obviously, Javonte and Michael got the bulk of the responsibility. How did you feel, or who stood out with some of the backups that came in against Western Carolina at running back?
Well, you know, I have to commend all our coaches. They did a great job of getting everybody in, and we got some decent reps with all of them. We were looking forward to watching British play, and we were looking forward to watching Hendo play, and we got Elijah out there, and DJ, I think, got himself in the end zone. Elijah had a couple explosive bursts up the middle. So we wanted to see them in open space just to see how prolific they would be. And, you know, all of them were productive. And so it's going to be interesting here in the spring to watch the 4 or 5 guys we have in that room get after it and step up and fill the shoes of a Michael Carter. And so I think they're all talented. They all have upside, and not to say the same thing, but they're going to benefit from a year of physical development. You know, they're going to put weight on. They're going to get stronger, just as Michael and Javonte did. You know, these guys didn't come here the product that they are right now. They developed themselves. You know, they were talented kids coming out of high school, but they developed themselves into great pass protectors and strong runners and guys that weren't going to get tackled at first engagement. And, you know, they worked on their hands and became better receivers out of the backfield. And so that's what Elijah Moore and DJ Jones and British and those guys are doing right now. And so it's kind of hard to elaborate on how good they're going to be until you see them in the spring and you see them in competition in the fall. But we're excited about the talent base that we have in that room coming back.